All right, so today is the first debate in the 2020 of the 2024 general election, you could say, between Donald Trump and Joseph Biden. So I thought it would be a good day to do a politics special, so to speak, here on the channel. Now, it's kind of hilarious to think about whether you actually care about my political opinions, because I may or may not care about your political opinions. And so, these are individual choices that we make as far as what our political views are. And I respect your right to have your own opinion. And I'm glad that we live in a country where we can each have our own opinions and where we can voice them most of the time without too much fear of retribution. So, topic for this video is, do debates matter? And I would say not that much. Now, there's maybe a little bit of a well, let me give you some thinking behind it. So first of all, it's very subjective about who wins a debate, right? It's like there's sort of like people kind of like form some type of consensus around maybe kind of who won the debate, but it's overall highly subjective. So there's no real, it's not like there's not real any definitive way to keep score on who wins the debate, right? This one's going to be a different format, so that's interesting to see how it is. And RFK Jr. will also be actually having his own stream going at the same time, even though he was excluded from the debate. He was, he is going to have his own, essentially, he's going to be live at the same time answering, I guess, some of the same questions. So that should add a little extra element of entertainment, I would think, to the whole theater. That is kind of the way I view debate. Mostly is in terms of theater. It may be entertaining to see what people say. Do I believe there will be much of substance there? Not necessarily. Generally, it's more kind of a one-upmanship slugfest type of situation, I think. And most people, I think, on the street have already decided who they would vote for between the two, if it comes down to a vote between those two. So I don't think the debate's going to do a lot to change that. But it's kind of like a sporting event. It gives you something to watch and to talk about. And I do think that people will be maybe more curious about this one than average because of just the fact that Biden's not really been in these types of situations much of late. Now he's been in public, but this seems like one of the more mentally strenuous things that he may have to do, depending on how the debate is formatted, at least if it's not just to where he can just read off a teleprompter for 2 minutes and then call that good and then it's Trump's turn. But anyway, so I think there are questions about whether about Biden body doubles. So we're going to see a body double tonight, acting all perky and doing a great job. And then next week, a video will come out of him, wandering across the stage, absent, not knowing where he's going. I don't know. There are various questions. But I would say, I think the State of the Union address, I think, on the whole, I think he presented a more, he seemed sharper, I think, than what he's kind of made out to be in conservative circles. And even a lot of Democrat voters have real concerns about his cognitive ability. But so was that State of the Union? Was that someone else doing a Biden impression? Was that Biden himself? I don't know for sure. Which of those options that it was. Of course, it's commonly assumed that Biden is, or speculated at least that Biden is drugged up pretty substantially before doing any of these events. And so, be interesting to see if there's any real, really it almost feels a little bit like a NASCAR race in which you watch part of the reason to watch the race really is just to see if there's some kind of horrific crash. And I think that's a little bit maybe how people feel about this debate possibly. So anyway, but another major reason why I don't believe the debate has a major influence on the outcome of the election is that, well, okay, now there's a caveat. If indeed Biden's performance was so horrific that they decided that the Democrats decided to pull him off the ballot and replace him with somebody else. And then, yes, that would be a very major outcome from the debate. But otherwise, probably not so much. Now, another reason is that Alan, oh boy, I'm going to bungle his last name. Lingfoot or Lightfoot, or it's something, I forget now, it's some kind of German name or something. He has correctly predicted the last 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, depending how you qualify it, of the last elections. And he says the election basically is a vote or referendum on the existing president. And there are 13 key elements, and if the challenger gets a majority of those, if he gets, I think, 7 or more, and then I'm not sure if that's exactly how scoring works, but basically there's a criteria of 13 points, I believe, and if too many of those go against Biden, Biden will lose. And if there's, so what's interesting is he, I think earlier he had predicted, I think he was saying it favors Biden, like Biden, was, I think, was in a decent position. And then more recently, it's like, well, it's getting a little shaky, I think. And also he's saying that earlier he said he would make his prediction in July. And the last I heard, he said he's going to make his prediction in August. So it kind of tells you that probably he thinks things are fluid enough now that he's not confident yet in making a call on it based on the sort of where things are at in our nation. So anyway, there are some of my thoughts on the importance and the spectacle of the first presidential debate of 2024.